Hi there and welcome to another video. This time we will be looking at this iPhone, which is a 5S model. You can see on the back probably. So with this one we have a home button which is not working. It clicks but it's not doing anything. And we already have a message that Touch ID cannot be used. But the rest of the phone is still working. So let's turn it off. And I have right here a brand new button. And I just wanted to share that with the original button we have already lost Touch ID function, which means that something is really broken with this button. And meanwhile I'm still with the two Samsung Galaxy S7 opened because I'm still working on them. I'm trying my best to practice at desoldering small components like from this board and trying to get used to desoldering and reflowing components. Alright, so I will need a pentalobe screw to open this, and let's see if I can find it. And it's this one. Then I will probably need my suction cup, my guitar pick, and I think that a Phillips screwdriver, which is this one. And that's all. So let's open this phone. Right, so it is very important to begin on the bottom left, insert it just a bit and twist it, and also pull it upwards and work your way very carefully. And now just be very careful because the home button does have a cable, and also this phone has never been opened, so there is the factory adhesive all around. And I think that the bezel is separating from the screen itself. Which wasn't planned. But as always, I will fix whatever I have to fix. Right, so can remove this suction cup and let's lift this a little bit. And there is a metal shield here that I'm gonna use my tweezers to remove. So it just flew somewhere inside the phone, but it is disconnected nonetheless. And oh, it fell. So this is the shield that we'll need to place here on the mat very carefully. And now we'll have to open the screws right here, and we have to be very careful with them to put in the correct order because the size is different for them. So we'll start with this one and take all of them out. I think there are 4 screws. So let's do that. Alright, so with the screen disconnected, we have to remove this little screw first. And there is a little antenna there, or something to connect. So let me zoom in. So we'll leave it like that for the moment. And now, as you can see, the button seems a little bit twisted. So something is for sure broken. So let's remove the other two screws now. So I think the screw is kind of stuck at this moment. So let's see what I can do about that. So I will try my other screwdriver, which is a little bit bigger. And it worked perfectly. Now let's remove the metal shield. And lift the display, push the button from underneath, and it is kind of very broken. Oh yeah, the button is not even connected to the cable anymore, so that is definitely broken. And this is the rest of the assembly. So we'll need to take out the little screw and the antenna wire or bracket or whatever you want to call this, and we have to transfer it to the new button assembly, which I will do off camera. Alright, so before continuing, we have to clean the screen, basically the place where the button will sit firstly, and then the rest of the screen, because especially at the top where it has separated, you can see the dirt. Right, it took me a little bit of time to put the new button back in place, but it is done, and you can hear it clicks. So now I will have to bend the new cable the way that this old one is, this zigzag pattern, so it will close with the phone. So I will try doing that off camera because I don't want to damage this new button. So I've decided to clean a little bit around the edges of the housing, and this is what came out. It's very fine dirt that has found a way to enter the device. And now I think I also bent the cable, and I think I'm gonna take a break and maybe continue tomorrow working on this phone. Alright, so last night I made two mistakes which you probably have already seen in the video. First and most important, I did not disconnect the battery first, which I have to do now before I continue assembling. And second, I forgot to move this rubber piece from the old button. So I'll have to undo everything and place the rubber piece and then put everything back. So first let's show you how to disconnect the battery. We have two Phillips head screws. Sorry. Right, don't lose the screw. And now let's remove the bracket. And let's unplug the battery. And that is done. And I should have done it before removing the display, but you know, I was working late and did not remember, but don't do my mistakes. And now I'll have to put this thing in there. So see you after I do that. Alright, so now that I have placed the rubber thing here and the button does still click, also the antenna is in place here, or the grounding cable or whatever it is. Now we can put the display back together in order to test see if the button works. So one cable down. I'm trying to be very careful not to press this too hard. And now I would have to connect the battery before I can connect the button, because otherwise I cannot. So let's plug the battery. And now let's do the button, which is a little bit tricky. I would definitely need a support for the screen in the future, especially if I'm going to work on these iPhones. So let me do this off camera because I physically cannot. Right, I did manage to get the button connected finally, as you can see. Now let's turn on the phone. And it does turn on, so I did not damage anything. And now we have to check if the button works. And if everything works, then disconnect it, put the two metal shields back, one over the display connections, one over the battery connections, and we are done. Right, no SIM card, Touch ID isn't working. And now if I block the screen and press on the button, it does work. So let's go to settings, press the button again, and it seems to work as normal. So let's turn off the phone. And after a couple of seconds, when it's turned off, let's remove again the button cable. And now, as I have done previously, let's put the battery cover back on and the one over the display connections back on. So I will do that off camera, of course, because you have seen me taking it off, and now it's basically the reverse process, putting it back in. Alright, so with everything connected and put back in place, that includes the small bracket that sits on top of the home button connector. Let's turn the phone on one more time. Also forgot to mention that I use this microfiber cloth to wipe everything inside the phone. And if it's working, we can close it and then see focus on the display separation from the frame. The glass from the frame or whatever it is. Nothing a little bit of adhesive can't fix. So let's see. Okay, going into settings, pressing the home button, it works. So I should fit first the top of the screen here. Like this. Then everything should clip back into place. I'm a little bit afraid, but it seems to be fitting nice. Okay, seems to be put in place. And it is still working, even the button. So now we have to finish by putting the two screws back again. So let's take one. And then the second one. And the phone is put back together, the button is working. Now let's take a look at the screen here on the top of the phone. Let's see if it still separates. And it still does. So in order to fix this issue, I will force it open, put some of my B7000 adhesive, and then put the rubber bands all around it. So let's do that. Alright, I've glued everything as best as I could. Now we'll leave it to press like this for some time, then clean the excess adhesive off the screen and everywhere else it went, and we should be done. Alright, so that was it. The phone is fully functional now, except the Touch ID, which wasn't working previously because the old button was broken from the cable, as you can see in here. But right now the button is working. So if you haven't seen the previous video where I have fixed Samsung Galaxy, oh my god, I meant an iPhone 4S, please check my video. I will have a link for it in the description and maybe in the beginning of the video at the top. And yeah, hope you enjoy this kind of content. It was the second iPhone I have worked on. It was a little bit newer than the old one, and that's it. See you next time.